welcome back to the Inspiration Station where stories spark action. I'm your host, Mr. U. Wherever you are and how you're watching this show, in this video, thanks for making us part of your week. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, you can find all of our shows across all social media platforms. And anywhere you get your podcast from, you can find any of our works. In studio with us today, internet personality and founder and leader of the Crab Crew Life, Bryan Blackmon is here. Bryan, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man. Thanks for having me.
Same here, man. Glad to have you here, man. You got an awesome story. I want to hit the ground running and get into it, man. So I understand that you did something that I hear people doing it, but not a whole lot lately. You chased your dream from Texas to California. Talk about that, brother.
I just, since I was a little kid, man, I've just always wanted to live out here. I grew up watching, MTV when it first came out with my dad. And
you watching stuff too? Come on, man. That was you?
Yeah, man. It was, it was all the 80s hair metal bands and all the pop music that was going on back then in the 80s. And I just saw these people running the streets of Sunset Boulevard. And I was like, man, that's where I got to go. I got to go there like ASAP. And I was young too. I was like maybe 7.
Wow.
Yeah. It was so vivid. I come from a musically inclined family. And so I just wanted to play guitar as soon as I saw, what those Motley Crue and Poison and Quiet Riot and all these bands were doing. And I was like, man, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. So it took me till I was 42 to get out here, but I finally made it.
35 years later. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
One thing that this show does really well, I'm really, really proud of this. And it's really not even me, it's really the guests that make this happen. They come in and they share a dream that they have. And it means, like you said, it's so vivid to them. And they're really transparent. At least the guests we've had this year alone have been really transparent about what happened on the road to the dream. Because some folks give you the highlights. They don't want to talk about the other stuff because it makes them look bad in their mind. On the road to this dream, you ran into some hard luck, man. Tell us about that part of the story.
Yes, sir. Well, I started really young, struggling with alcohol and drug addiction, and it just consumed my life. It took over, and it was fun for a while. It was fun for many years, actually. I partied with some of the rock stars and just coolest people and had a really good time. And then it got to the point where it wasn't, and now it was just my way of life, and it was how I had to function on a daily basis. And I've been to so many rehabs and sober living homes and different ways of trying to get sober, and none of them ever worked. I just was never ready. Jails, prisons, institutions, as they say. And when I got to California, all of it got much worse. And it was a real struggle. I was struggling bad when I got out here. It definitely was the California lifestyle that I wanted to live, and when I got here, I lived it up, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of things. People talk about how the grass is always green until you get there. It's like, wow, and you want to get there, and many are like you, man. They want to get to California because so the glamorization, if you will, if that's a word, the glitz,
right?
The lifestyle. Yeah. They don't see the seedy underbelly of the lifestyle, man. And you got a chance to see that stuff in Technicolor, actually, man. But I love another part of your story, man, because this is the part that I told the men about. We have a lot of men's content on our brand, and we deal with this stuff all the time. And we really tackle the subjects of community and not walking in isolation. You made a friend. I would call this person an unlikely friend from the story that I heard from you. An unlikely friend that literally changed your life. I mean, there's a lot of men, they struggle with that because somewhere they got the idea that men can't have real friends. You can't have that kind of community and that kind of authentic relationship. But you found a friend, or a friend found you. Tell the story how that went down, man.
Well, if you're talking about Elaine, that's okay. Yeah, definitely unlikely. I would have never guessed that my homelessness would have led to this wonderful, wonderful human being. And it was definitely one of those, I definitely believe in a higher power. I was brought up in a really Southern Baptist Christian home, and I
Gotcha.
don't I don't do religion, but I definitely do the spiritual thing, and I'm definitely a believer in a power greater than myself. And for me, there's no other way to look at it other than I was put in her path as well as she was put in my path. She was, living at this house alone. She's was 85, needed a lot of help around the house, and just needed somebody to be there, and so we were definitely put on each other's path for a reason. And turns out she, not only gave me a roof over my head, but um, a couple years later, after me living here, is when the addiction and alcoholism went tenfold into
Mm.
darkness, more so than it's probably ever been, because I truly isolated myself. But I had this roof over my head now, where I was struggling for so many years out here, homeless and bouncing around from place to place, and I needed rest, right? And once I got that roof over my head, is when I really isolated and started falling deeper and darker into drugs and alcohol. And I woke up one morning and had this epiphany, and everything in my body, spirit, mind, soul, every cell in my body, man, and every voice, the devil on my shoulder, the angel on the other shoulder, all of it lined up. And I was brushing my teeth. I looked in the mirror, and something just spoke to me, and all I heard were the words, "You are worth it." And like I said, I've gotten sober for every reason under the sun. It didn't work doing it for my mom, for my family, for jails, for prisons, for probation, parole. Um, they were all just temporary fixes to get what I selfishly needed at the time. But this time, everything lined up, and it was for me. It was for nobody else. And I just made a conscious decision at that point. And I said, okay, I'm done. And I really struggled for the first 6 months, man. It was brutal. I don't recommend anybody, doing it on their own. I just knew what my body could take, and I knew the path that I was headed down. And if I wanted to do it, I could do it. And like I said, every aspect, every cell in my body knew that it was time to make a change. I started getting fearful of, I'm almost 50 years old, and I've done this lifestyle my entire life. So I wanted to see what the other side, if I'm granted another 30, 40 years, what that could look like. And there were no plans, there was no dream at that point. It was just, I wanted to feel better and see what life could bring. And so I did, man. I locked myself in my room for 30 days. And about halfway through that, I went downstairs and I told Elaine what I was going through. And she was super supportive and told me that she loved me, cared about me. I was here for a reason, and to go back upstairs. And if I needed her, I knew where she was at. And that kind
Love
of
that,
just
man.
changed everything for me.
Love that, man. What would you say is the biggest misconception about the streets of California? Because I mean, you got a chance to not only have the dream that many people have, but you got a chance to see the other side of it that a lot of people don't get to see. They live their whole life. So, I wish I have a regret about never getting there. Tell them what it's like because you have been there.
It's a difficult place, man. Being from Texas, I'm so used to, for instance, walking into a convenience store, a grocery store, and somebody holding a door open for you, or saying hello or how are you, and the cash register person even says, "Hey, buddy, how are you?" Just those type manners. And you get out here, man, and nobody says a word to you. It's kind of like, dude, they're afraid that, even starting up a conversation with somebody, because I'm super friendly and I don't really know many strangers. And I'd be like, "Hey, man, how are you?" People just look at you like you were going to ask them, like, "Do you give me money or you want something?" And it's kind of cold. And I don't
Yeah.
mean, weather wise. I mean, it's harsh, and the homelessness is out of control. You can literally be in LA and be on one street, and the most gorgeous homes, yards, just lavish lifestyle, and then two streets over, there's people using the bathroom on the streets. They're smoking drugs right in front of you.
Mm.
It could be a very cruel and dark, harsh place to live. And then the price to live out here is super expensive too. So if you're not hustling or don't have a good job, it's hard to survive out here. It truly is.
Yeah, I can believe that, man. Thanks for sharing that. So that's really powerful stuff. Uh, I had it was I would call it an addiction issue, but it was a little bit different and maybe not as severe as some of the things that you were talking about. Can you kind of give folks that have been or are perhaps right now challenged with that, with being sober? What's the hardest part of kind of staying uh, not just mentally and emotionally strong, but kind of staying solid and staying, on the right path for yourself? What's the hardest part of that?
For me, it was letting everybody go. The friends, the people, the places, the things, becoming comfortable being alone. That was the hardest part because when you start making those kind of decisions to better yourself, I have found that there's a huge support group. Don't get me wrong. To be around people who are doing that same stuff, AA meetings, NA meetings, churches if you're into that part of it as well. But I had to let go of everything that I knew, everything that made me comfortable. And that I think was the hardest part. And sometimes that still is a hard part. I don't surround myself with a lot of people. I keep a really small circle, and I mean like down to one. That's not a joke. I mean, you know, I do have a great support group with my family, and when I started to get sober, I went to a certain meeting here in Southern California down the street from my house. I met a lot of great people there, but letting go of what was always familiar to
Hmm.
you, that for me was the hardest part, and sometimes can still get to me. Um, and just knowing that staying on this course, amazing things just keep happening. Things that I could have never ever dreamed of or even thought possible. So once you start getting that some time in and you start truly understanding your worth in this life and believing that you are worthy of having the best possible life, the best joy, the best things, if that's what you're after, just creating a beautiful place inside so the outside will, start molding to that belief that you carry about yourself. And to me, that was the hardest part, was building, letting go of all that, and then building a different environment internally, to let the external world start kind of molding to the gratitude that I have inside.
I love it. A good friend of mine, he is one of our key panelists on our Men's Roundtable Series podcast. He's an insightful guy, has an incredible story. You guys definitely got to hear each other's story for sure. He said the old recovery program slogan, work it because you're worth it. And then he asked you what part of Cali are you from? So you can share that with him real quick. What part of Cali are you from? Can you hear me, Brian?
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yeah, I've asked you what part of
Oh,
California you're from.
I'm so sorry. I thought you were.
Where's that
My
from?
bad. I live in Orange County in Huntington Beach.
Okay. You might
But
be familiar with
when I moved here, I went straight from Texas to Venice, um, uh, Costa Mesa, not Costa Mesa, Venice, Santa Monica, Culver City, Woodland Hills, Canoga Park, and then Huntington Beach. So I got the whole
you moved
LA
around.
tour.
Yeah, you moved around. You moved around for
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Okay. Well, I would imagine, Brian, that you on this quest to live this lifestyle, you learning some things about soberness and stability. Is this something that people don't normally think about, or they got a misconception about when it comes to staying sober?
I think for me, that's a great question. For me, I just love to make people laugh. I've always been kind of like the class clown type person. I've always enjoyed life for the most part. Um, so to me, I was afraid of never laughing again. I was afraid
Wow.
of not being able to have fun, and that kind of terrified me. It's all I've ever known, right? It's all I've ever known is that lifestyle. So would I still be able to have fun? Not going to bars, not doing drugs with people, not getting out there and just being wild and crazy and experiencing new things. Little did I know that there were so many more wonderful experiences to live without having that in my life. But in the beginning, that terrified me.
No, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. I know that a lot of things had to change for you, and I want to try to get into the back end of our broadcast today. So I'll try to speed it up a little bit.
Sure.
But I know a lot of things had to shift. What do you think changed first? Was it your mindset? Was it the environment that you and the people that you were around, or was it your habits? What do you think changed first out of those three? Your mindset, the environment slash the people you were around, or your habits?
Mindset, habits, and the habits and the friends and the environment and stuff kind of go hand in hand for me
Okay.
because I had to change my habits. Right. And changing my habits meant I had to let go of all of that. So the mindset is definitely what came first because I had to truly understand that this is what I wanted. I wanted to change. I wanted a new lifestyle. I wanted a new heart. I needed, I believe everybody's born with a light inside of them, right? That's what gives us that smile, that joy, that love for life, that zest. Depending on what it is that you're doing with your own mind can and your own lifestyle can dim that light. And mine got to the point where it was barely on, and so I had to change my mindset about what I wanted out of life. And when I did that, the habits and the people and all that started changing. But I had to do it within first. I couldn't do it. And I learned that from so many years of getting sober before that I couldn't do it for any other reason but myself. And once I truly understood what that meant, everything else kind of just started falling into place. But you know, my habits definitely were something I had to let go of and form new ones. And in doing so, it changed my mentality. It changed my heart. It changed my spirit. Other things outside of that particular drug and alcohol lifestyle started making me happy. Just being grateful for five simple things, right? When I wake up, being grateful that I have another day, the roof over my head, the shoes on my feet, the clothes on my back, and the food in my stomach. And when I keep things simple and grateful for those little things, other doors just start opening and I start finding different aspects of life so much more enjoyable. So, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, man. I love hearing that, man. Thanks for being so transparent, man. I appreciate it, man. I like that.
Yeah,
I
you're
like that.
welcome. Thank you.
I got a few more questions I want to ask you, so we're gonna go a little bit rapid fire. I want to try
Okay.
to get them in, but we have to close out. All right. So you talk about digital accountability. TikTok Live. Tell me how you staying accountable using TikTok. I gotta hear this, brother. Be as brief as you can, though. Go ahead.
It started giving me a way to give back throughout
Wow.
my life. Even though I lost friends and my family never gave up on me, and the closest people in my life always knew that I was worth doing something greater than what I was doing. So I've always had a lot of love and support. People didn't really just give up on me; they had to back away. And going live on TikTok was I couldn't have planned that for the life of me. Yeah, I could have never told anybody, oh, my plan is to go on TikTok live and just start sharing my story. It just happened. And it was a way for me to stay accountable, not only for myself, but other people. It started getting so big and so just positive and fun and showing people around California that it just became excuse me, it became something that I truly enjoy doing and I love giving back. And my thing is that if I can make one person laugh a little bit harder excuse me, than they did from the time that they woke up until the time they watched my live, or if they looked at their own life in some different perspective that they didn't think about that day, then I think that my job is doing something worthwhile. So yeah, it keeps me doing something outside
Good,
myself,
man.
man.
I love this, man. I love this. All right, let's keep on moving.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think? I know she's not here to answer this herself, but what do you think Elaine saw in you that you didn't see in yourself at the time?
I've asked her that question, and it's a very simple answer. She said God told her to. She went with her intuition. She went with, she just did. And I've asked her
Mm.
that so many times, and she just said, Brian, it wasn't me. She just went with what she was being spoken to and what she was being told. And I equate that to, her believing that it was God telling her that, this is what needs to happen.
I love it, man.
Yeah, man, it's
Internet
pretty wild.
personality and founder and leader of the Crab Crew Life. Last question for you, brother. And let
Yes,
folks know where they can find you and your work, brother. So, what's next for you in the Crab Crew in 2026 and beyond, man? What's next, man?
What I've started doing is I've started building the Crab Crew Transformation Experience, and it's a 6 weeks course on how I've changed my life and how I continue to rise above the hell that I've lived in, and how to stay positive on a daily basis. It's a 6 weeks course that I've spent the last 6 months building, and I just want to help people, man. I just want to help people get out of that negative space, that depression that they may be in, the overcoming the drugs and alcohol, whatever it may be that is keeping you from being the best version of yourself. My burning desire is to I just want to help people transform their mindset and their heart and their spirit, so they can, we never know when that last breath is going to be taken. And if I can help you in any way, wake up and be grateful for the simple things in life, and look at yourself and truly believe that you're worth having the best experience on the time that you're given here, then that just really makes me happy, and that's what I want to continue to do. So yeah, man.
Thank you, brother. We got your website up on the screen for those that are listening and not watching. Crabcrewlife.com. Crew spelled CREW. Crabcrewlife.com. Get with this man. He has an incredible story. Founder of the Crab Crew Transformation, Bryan Blackmon. Thanks for being here, brother, making us part of your day. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Same here. So that's Bryan Blackmon. I'm Mr. U. Thanks for watching our show. Hope you're inspired.